Actor Kevin Spacey appeared in court Monday. He's accused of groping a young man in 2016. To date, it is the only criminal charge brought against the Oscar winner after a series of sexual assault allegations derailed his career. Jerika Duncan was in the courtroom.
Kevin Spacey walked into a packed Nantucket courtroom today to face a charge of indecent assault and battery on an 18-year-old in 2016.
We're all right.
The 59-year-old quietly stood up as his attorney entered a not guilty plea.
Actor Kevin Spacey has sexually assaulted my son.
In 2017, former Boston television anchor Heather Unruh accused Spacey of groping her son while he worked at Club Car Restaurant. The criminal complaint says the alleged victim told authorities Spacey bought him nearly a dozen drinks and then touched his private area. He says he captured it on video using Snapchat. During a recent court hearing, one officer was questioned by Spacey's attorney about the video.
What the video shows is a person's hand made contact with the shirt, correct?
Yes.
Okay, not any body part.
Correct, you don't see any body parts.
There are multiple investigations into allegations that Spacey sexually assaulted other men, some of which Spacey has denied. CBS legal analyst Ricky Kleeman.
The prosecution surely has enough evidence to go forward. It doesn't necessarily mean that ultimately they may win.
And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't.
Last month, on the same day prosecutors announced the felony charge against Spacey, he posted this bizarre video on YouTube.
I know what you want. You want me back.
Spacey's attorney is expected to appear back in court in March. Spacey does not have to be here for that hearing. If convicted, though, he could face up to 5 years behind bars. Elaine?
Jerika Duncan, thank you. Attorney Deborah Blum joins me now for more on this. Deborah, thanks so much for being here. Why is this the first of several allegations against Kevin Spacey to actually make it to court?
I can't answer that. What I can tell you is about 30 others have accused him of unwanted sexual advances. What we do have here is an individual who's accused him of touching his private part, and he was arraigned today on charges of indecent touching.
Oh, go ahead.
And no bail was set, which was completely appropriate because he returned to court. He didn't flee. Unlike OJ, who we saw the chase in his Bronco, we saw Kevin Spacey arrive in court in his SUV.
And Jerika mentioned these previous allegations. Are those going to play a role at all in this case?
Well, those are inadmissible at trial unless the judge rules that they could come in. I do think that they will impact plea negotiations. So will Kevin Spacey's video, perhaps, that he posted himself on YouTube. So all of those things might impact the potential deal that he would receive here. We don't know that these accusations are true. There's a lot of exculpatory evidence so far. There were witnesses that were present and they were interviewed, and none of them said that they saw the touching. We also know that there's a Snapchat video that the alleged victim took himself, and in that video, there's no touching of his private part. It's just of his shirt.
Okay, and so on that point, the judge asked the accuser and his then-girlfriend to preserve text messages and phone data from that day. So how significant will that be in this case?
Well, we'll have to see what that reveals. It's totally possible that there are going to be text messages about what occurred, and those might actually say in and of themselves that nothing happened. You know, I think that the worst thing that we have so far here is Kevin Spacey's actual YouTube posting, which I'm sure his defense attorneys did not approve of.
And what is Spacey's defense strategy at this point? Do we know?
Well, the question here is whether this was an unwanted sexual touching. And it seems like to me that their strategy is going to be to say that this just did not occur at all. Because as we know, there are witnesses who said that they didn't see the touching. There's this video on Snapchat. So I think they're going to go with that. The other line of defense would be that it was a consensual touch.
So Kevin Spacey did not speak at all during this hearing, and the judge said that Spacey did not have to appear in person to his next hearing. Is that unusual at all to have such limited involvement?
Well, he was ordered to be here today. As you know, his defense attorneys requested that his presence be waived, but he doesn't have to appear the next time. Sometimes there are procedural matters that are handled at certain court dates, and that's most likely what will occur at the next one. You know, perhaps they'll rule further on the motion that was made by his defense attorneys. There might be subpoenas. So it is somewhat common for defendants' appearance to be waived, but not that common. But I practice law in the state of New York, where actually after the Me Too movement began, I have seen a huge amount of overcharging, I believe, for men that are accused of sex crimes. It doesn't mean that what they're accused of is okay in any way, shape, or form, but the charged acts don't meet what the actual criminal statute says. So the severity of the crime doesn't match what they're charged with.
Interesting. So you mentioned that next hearing. What can we expect to come out of it next March?
Well, it seems like to me that because of the notoriety of this case, that plea bargaining is going to be very difficult, and this might be a case that actually goes to trial. This carries sex offender consequences, so it's likely that the prosecution is going to want him to take a plea to a sex offense crime, so he'll have to register as a sex offender, and his defense attorneys might advise him just to go to trial.
A lot of people will be very interested to see what happens. Deborah Blum, thank you so much for stopping by, Deborah. Appreciate it.
Thank you.